Here's what nobody's telling you about your Social Security money this month. And if you're counting on that check hitting your account on the first like it always does, you need to hear this right now. The calendar just threw us a curveball. February 1st falls on a Sunday, which means SSI recipients will get their February checks on Friday, January 30th. That's 2 days early. Now, before you get excited, understand this. You're not getting extra money. The Social Security Administration is just moving the date because they can't process payments on weekends. When the first of the month falls on a weekend or federal holiday, SSI payments are made on the last business day of the preceding month. Here's where it gets interesting. This doesn't just happen once. March 1st is also on a Sunday, so March's SSI payments will be made on Friday, February 27th. That means some folks are going to see 2 SSI deposits hit their account in the same month, January 30th and February 27th. Again, you're not getting bonus money, but if you don't understand what's happening, you might spend that February 27th payment thinking you're ahead, and then come March, you're sitting there wondering where your check went. Now let's talk about regular Social Security benefits, because this is where people get confused. If you're on standard retirement benefits, your payment schedule hasn't changed one bit. You're still getting paid based on your birthday. Second Wednesday if you were born between the 1st and 10th, third Wednesday for the 11th through 20th, and fourth Wednesday for the 21st through 31st. For February 2026, that's the 11th, the 18th, and the 25th. Here's the truth about those stimulus check rumors floating around the internet, and I'm going to be straight with you because you deserve better than clickbait. The last round of federal stimulus payments went out in 2021, and any new checks would require Congress to pass fresh legislation. There are no confirmed stimulus checks coming in February 2026. Now look, I want to talk about something that nobody's addressing about the actual money in your pocket, because that COLA increase everybody's celebrating isn't what you think it is. The average Social Security benefit is going up about $56 per month, and you'd think that's good news, right? Well, hold on a second. Medicare. Part B premiums are jumping from $185 to $202.90. That's almost $18 a month. So, right off the top, you just lost a third of your COLA increase to Medicare premiums. Do the math with me here. You get $56 more from Social Security, you lose $18 to Medicare. That's a net increase of $38, not 56, 38. And folks, inflation's been running higher than the COLA they gave us, which means your actual purchasing power might be going down even with this so-called raise. Here's what really gets me fired up about this whole thing. They announce this COLA like it's some generous gift, but it's not designed to make you richer. It's barely designed to keep you from getting poorer. The COLA is calculated based on the Consumer Price Index for urban wage earners and clerical workers, and there's a big problem with that. You're not an urban wage earner. You're a retiree. Your spending patterns are completely different. You spend more on health care. You spend more on prescription drugs. You spend more on home services. And all those costs are rising faster than the index they're using to calculate your benefits. It's like they're measuring your cost of living with the wrong thermometer. And let me tell you something else that nobody wants to talk about. There's this thing called the hold harmless provision. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Hold harmless. What it means is that your Medicare premium increase can't be larger than your Social Security COLA increase. So if you got a $30 COLA and your Medicare premium was going to go up $40, they can only increase it by $30. That sounds protective, and for some people it is, but here's the catch. If you're a new Medicare enrollee, if you're a high-income earner subject to IRMA, or if you're not having your premiums automatically deducted from your Social Security check, that hold harmless provision doesn't apply to you. You're paying the full freight on that premium increase regardless of your COLA. Now let's talk about those payment dates in February, because this is where people start making mistakes with their money. If you're on SSI, you already got your February payment on January 30th because February 1st fell on a Sunday. And here's what happens. People see money hit their account and they spend it. That's human nature. But then February 27th rolls around and you get another SSI payment for March, and suddenly you've got 2 payments in the same month. This isn't extra money. This is just the calendar playing tricks on you. If you spend that second payment thinking you're ahead, You're going to be sitting there on March 1st wondering where your money went. It's already in your account. You already spent it. This is the kind of thing that gets people into trouble with their budgets. For those of you on regular retirement benefits, your schedule hasn't changed at all. You're still getting paid based on your birthday, and that means if you were born between the 1st and the 10th, you get paid on the second Wednesday of the month. That's February 11th this year. Born between the 11th and 20th, third Wednesday, February 18th. 21st through the 31st, fourth Wednesday, February 25th. Write those dates down. Put them in your phone. Build your budget around them. Because one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is not knowing when their money's coming and then scrambling when bills are due. Here's something that's changing that a lot of people don't know about. The earnings limit if you're working while collecting Social Security went up to $24,480 for 2026. That's up from $23,400 last year. Now, what does that mean? If you're under full retirement age and you're still working, maybe you picked up a part-time job, maybe you're doing some consulting, Social Security is going to withhold $1 in benefits for every $2 you earn over that limit. So if you make $30,000 this year and the limit is $24,480, you're over by about $5,500, which means they're going to withhold about $2,750 from your benefits. That's real money coming out of your pocket throughout the year. But here's what they don't tell you about that withholding. It's not gone forever. When you reach full retirement age, Social Security recalculates your benefit to give you credit for those months when they withheld money. Your monthly payment goes up permanently. So it's not a penalty, it's more like a forced delay. But in the moment, when you're trying to pay your bills and your check is smaller than you expected, that doesn't help much, does it? You need to know about this ahead of time so you can plan for it. Now, if you're going to reach full retirement age this year in 2026, different rules apply to you. The earnings limit for the months before you reach full retirement age is $65,160, and they only withhold $1 for every $3 you earn over that amount. And the moment you hit your full retirement age, that earnings test disappears completely. You can make $1 million a year and they won't touch your Social Security benefits. But until that birthday hits, you're subject to these rules, and you better know what they are. Let me talk about the maximum taxable earnings for a minute, because this affects those of you who are still working and paying into the system. The maximum amount of earnings subject to Social Security tax increased to $184,500 for 2026. That's up more than $8,000 from last year. What this means is if you're making good money, if you're one of those people still working in your 60s making six figures, you're going to pay Social Security taxes on more of your income this year. For someone earning at that level, you're looking at an extra $500 or more in Social Security taxes coming out of your paycheck. Now, that does mean you'll get credit for higher earnings when they calculate your future benefits, but in the here and now, it's more money out of your pocket. Here's where I want to get real with you about something. A lot of folks are asking me about stimulus checks. They're seeing videos online, they're getting emails, they're hearing rumors that there's money coming. And I'm going to tell you straight, there are no stimulus checks coming in February 2026. There are no stimulus checks authorized by Congress. The last stimulus payments went out back in 2021, and any new payments would require Congress to pass a whole new law, and that hasn't happened. I know you want there to be free money showing up. We all do. But hoping for it doesn't make it real, and planning your budget around money that doesn't exist is how people end up in financial trouble. What you need to understand is that your Social Security benefit is your reality. That COLA increase is your reality. Those Medicare premiums are your reality. Everything else is noise. And the internet is full of people trying to get clicks and views by telling you what you want to hear instead of what you need to hear. I've seen websites claiming there are secret stimulus checks, special senior payments, emergency relief funds, all of it designed to get you to click, to watch their ads, to buy their products. It's garbage and it's predatory, and you deserve better than that. So what should you actually be doing with this information? First, you need to look at your actual benefit statement. You can see your COLA notice online through your My Social Security account if you created your account by November 19th, 2025. If you haven't set up your online account yet, do it. Go to ssa.gov and create one. It takes maybe 15 minutes, and then you have access to all your information anytime you want it. You can see your payment history. You can see your earnings record. You can estimate future benefits if you're still working. This is your financial information, and you should have control over it. Second, you need to adjust your budget for that Medicare premium increase. If you had a budget that was working for you in 2025, it's not going to work the same way in 2026 because your net check is different. Sit down with your bank statements, look at where your money's actually going, and make the adjustments you need to make. Maybe that means cutting back on something. Maybe that means finding ways to reduce your other expenses. Maybe it means having a hard conversation with yourself about whether you need to pick up some part-time work. But sticking your head in the sand and pretending everything's fine when your numbers have changed is not a strategy. Third, if you're working while collecting benefits, you need to understand exactly how the earnings test is going to affect you. Call the Social Security Administration if you need to. The number is 1-800-772-1213. Yes, you might be on hold for a while. Yes, it's annoying. But getting the right information is worth 30 minutes of hold music. Tell them how much you expect to earn this year and ask them to calculate how much they're going to withhold from your benefits. Then you can plan accordingly instead of being surprised when your checks start showing up smaller than you expected. Let me talk about something else that's critical: your Medicare coverage. The Medicare Part B deductible is going up to $283 in 2026. That's how much you have to pay out of pocket before Medicare starts covering your medical expenses. That's $26 higher than last year. And if you haven't looked at your Medicare Advantage plan or your Part D prescription drug plan lately, now's the time. Open enrollment is over, but you can still review what you have and make notes for next year. Are your doctors still in network? Are your prescriptions still covered? Are you paying for coverage you're not using? These are the questions that can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year. Here's something that really bothers me. There's this attitude out there that once you retire, your financial life is on autopilot. You get your Social Security check, you pay your bills, and that's it. But that's not reality. Your costs are changing. Healthcare is getting more expensive. Your needs are evolving. If you're not actively managing your money, you're going to fall behind, and catching up gets harder the older you get. This isn't about being paranoid or obsessive. It's about being intentional with what you have so that you can maintain your dignity and your independence as you age. And speaking of independence, let's talk about what happens if you're one of those people living right on the edge. If your Social Security check is your only income and it barely covers your expenses, that COLA increase might seem like a lifeline, but after the Medicare premium comes out, you're maybe $40 better off per month. That's $130 a week. If something unexpected happens, if your car breaks down, if you need a new appliance, if you have a medical expense that Medicare doesn't cover, you don't have any margin. You're one emergency away from real trouble. This is why I'm always harping on the importance of having some kind of emergency fund, even if it's small, even if it's just $500, even if it takes you 2 years to build it, because that cushion is the difference between an inconvenience and a catastrophe. Now, I know some of you are sitting there thinking, I'm living on Social Security. How am I supposed to save anything? And I get it. I really do. But here's the thing. There are always expenses you can reduce. Always. I'm not talking about giving up everything that brings you joy. I'm talking about looking at your spending with honest eyes and asking yourself what's actually necessary. Do you need all those subscription services? Are you still paying for a landline and a cell phone? Could you shop at a different grocery store? Could you buy generic medications instead of brand name? These aren't fun questions, but they're important ones, because every $10 you save per month is $120 per year that could go toward building that emergency cushion. Let me also address something for those of you who are helping aging parents manage their Social Security. If your mom or your dad is starting to struggle with keeping track of their finances, you need to get involved now, not later. Talk to them about setting up a My Social Security account if they haven't already. Offer to review their Medicare coverage with them. Make sure they understand when their payments are coming and what their net benefit is after Medicare premiums. And if they're showing signs of cognitive decline, you might need to have the harder conversation about representative payee status, where someone else manages their Social Security benefits on their behalf. Nobody wants to have that conversation, but protecting a vulnerable adult from financial exploitation or simple confusion is an act of love, not control. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. The Social Security system is complicated, it's changing all the time, and it's designed in a way that doesn't always make intuitive sense. But it's also predictable. The rules are knowable. The payment dates are scheduled, the calculations are mathematical, which means with a little bit of effort and attention, you can know exactly what you're getting, when you're getting it, and how to plan around it. You don't have to be a financial expert. You just have to be willing to learn the rules that apply to your situation and make decisions based on facts instead of wishes or fears or rumors you saw on the internet. The bottom line is this. Your February 2026 Social Security payment is coming on schedule based on your birthday. If you're on SSI, you already got February's payment early because of the weekend. Your benefit includes the COLA increase, but your Medicare premium also went up, so your net increase is smaller than the headline number. There are no stimulus checks coming. The earnings limit went up if you're working, which gives you a little more room but doesn't eliminate the withholding if you earn too much. And all of this requires you to pay attention, to plan, and to make informed decisions about your money. That's not exciting. It's not sexy. But it's what works. And at the end of the day, having a clear understanding of your financial situation and a plan for managing it is worth more than any amount of wishful thinking about checks that aren't coming or windfalls that don't exist. Take control of what you can control, accept what you can't, and build your life on the solid foundation of what's actually true.